everybody, and welcome to a new video. I'm actually starting on a Sunday and it's kind of late in the afternoon now. The day got away from me a little bit. Yeah, I didn't really start yesterday because I was feeling a bit sick. Like, I woke up in the morning and I had a headache and I was really stuffed up and everything. But I took some Tylenol and I felt mostly better by the afternoon, but yeah, just didn't feel like doing this. And didn't do too much during the day, to be honest. But I can't admit that I was sick because I've talked too much smack about vitamins. I believe that they're a thing, and I believe that taking vitamins does help. I just think that probably most of the vitamins that you can buy and like the supplements and everything that people say, you're just buying expensive pee. That's my theory. I also believe, because I know a lot of people, especially at Oxford, like everybody talks about taking vitamin D and how like, oh, it completely, changed my mood immediately after I took it. And I'm like, that's placebo. I'm suspicious. Not that I've ever taken it to, have a real opinion, but I still have one. So I'm definitely feeling a lot better today. Like, my nose isn't stuffed up, my head doesn't hurt or anything. I feel like you can kind of still hear it in my chest a little bit. I'm not like coughing too much or anything, but I just sort of feel it. So I was recovering quickly, at least. But yeah, just some updates on where I'm at with finals. I'm finished my wolf paper. I submitted it on Wednesday morning, but I was very annoyed because by Wednesday afternoon, I was like, this is what I should have done for my paper. I had a good idea because if you've watched my other videos, you know that like kind of with both finals, honestly, but especially with wolf, I was really struggling coming up with a topic because I loved the seminar, like I loved the class, but I just wasn't feeling like I didn't have an idea early on, and like usually I do, or I at least know what text I even want to write about. But with wolf, I wasn't really feeling particularly drawn to or away from anything. Like, I just wasn't really feeling inspired by anything for my own project. So I was like, well, I think Orlando's interesting. The idea of the class is like thinking about kind of wolf's legacy. So I thought that, working with one of the adaptations would be cool. So I just kind of was like, okay, well, I'll just do the Orlando film because I thought the Orlando book was interesting. We spent a large portion of the term talking about Mrs. Dalloway, and that's the book that we actually looked at the most adaptations for. Like, I think for Orlando, the only adaptation we actually looked at on the syllabus was the Orlando segment of the Wolfworks ballet. And even within that, there was a Mrs. Dalloway section that I honestly felt like we spent more time talking about. So I was like, I'll do the film, whatever. I enjoyed my topic, I enjoyed the film, but I didn't like get super into the essay. Like, I wasn't feeling super passionate about any of it. So it was a bit of more of a struggle to write that way. And then of course, that afternoon I was like, I should have done something about reading journals. Because Wolf kept really like meticulous and kind of like crazy personal reading journals just about what she was reading. She would like paste stuff in, she would rebind them or bind them herself. So then I was like, oh, it would have been really cool to do something looking at kind of like contemporary like reading journal culture, like even looking at things like Goodreads, Storygraph, Fable, all of the myriad of apps and websites that there are now, like looking at those as kind of digital reading journals, even like, if you have an Instagram page or Book Talk or whatever, those being kind of also reading journals in a way, but kind of more like collaborative or community driven. Like a public facing reading journal is kind of an interesting idea. And then even on, I would say particularly Book Talk and BookTube more than like Instagram, there is like a big kind of reading journal sub community, like people that just post about how they set up their reading journal and doing kind of like artsy fartsy reading journals, like having themes for each month and like what are they tracking, doing all of these things. And in a way that is like pretty similar to how Wolf kept them and like pasting things in, binding and all of that kind of stuff. So I think that would have been an interesting topic and would have brought in some of my digital humanities-ness. And I do think that idea of like a collaborative or a public reading journal is really interesting and that there would be something cool to discuss there. But naturally I didn't come up with it until after. So emails I can't send, essays I probably won't write anytime soon at least. But the essay's done anyway, so that feels good. And now I just have the George Eliot one, which isn't due until the end of next week. So I'm not gonna like kill myself too much on it today. But I do want to reread the section of Daniel Deronda. I believe it's in the same book, or it's between two books, because Daniel Deronda has, it's broken up into volumes, which are broken up into little books, which are broken up into chapters. So I want to reread the section where Gwendolyn talks very directly about motherhood, and also where we have Leonora come in. And I think it's in the same book, if I remember correctly, or it's like 2 consecutive books. So I do want to reread that part in its entirety. And it's also the section where like Gwendolyn is confronting her marriage most directly, I would say. And it's, you know, the thing where we're actually getting Leonora, who are going to be kind of the focal points of my Elliot project. I've also been, you know, collecting readings and stuff for that. I have been working on it and like putting together, plugging things into my outline and everything. I just don't have like the draft done or going or anything, but I'm hoping to have the draft like early to midweek, and then hopefully like me and the other grad students in that course will be able to like exchange them and stuff, because I think that that would be good to be able to get some other feedback on it. So that's kind of my plan for today. I have to do that. I have to keep grading because I have some left. The final papers for my TA class, it's really nice because we don't have to give a lot of feedback unless they've requested it. However, it still wound up taking me like as long or longer than it took me to grade their other essays, even though I'm not really giving feedback on any of them, because so far like I only had one person I think actually request it, because basically for their final paper they had to expand and revise either their literary analysis essay or their rhetorical analysis. So those original papers were like around 800 words, but they have to expand it to be 1,200 to 1,500. They have to include a minimum 2 secondary sources, and then they have to like change their essay also based on the feedback that we gave them. So I need to go and I need to compare like their current essay to whatever essay they previously wrote, see if they responded to the feedback, you know, how did they integrate their sources. So it just takes a long time to grade each of them. So it's taken me a while to get through them, but hopefully I can finish over the next day or two. I was also really wanting to go out and maybe like sit and do some of that work in a cafe today, and maybe like go downtown and go to a different one, but it's been like this all day. So it's not like, I don't think it's raining. It's just like not that nice out, and I don't know if I really want to go for like a big walk with that or anything. And even now, like with my chest like talking for a longer period of time, I can like feel myself struggling to breathe. So I don't know if I should go on a big walk right now while I'm maybe still a little bit sick, and maybe shouldn't sit in public. So maybe I won't do that today. I'm making fajitas. I have absolutely no desire to cook this, but I have to because I thawed the chicken breast. Good morning, everybody. It is Monday morning and I have something very exciting to share. So this arrived today. This is Tessa Bailey's upcoming book, Broken Rivals. This is my first physical ARC that I've ever gotten. I'm so excited. It's even got the advanced reader's copy little permanent sticker. It's got, I don't imagine this will be the original back. I imagine that's for the proof before they get this full summary out. I'm so excited. I've gotten a few Kindle ARCs before, actually a couple from Tessa Bailey before. I'd entered, it was more of like a giveaway thing that I'd entered to get an advanced Kindle edition of My Killer Vacation, and then I also got a digital ARC of Dream Girl Drama, which was so cool. But there's just something about getting like the physical book that is really, really cool. She'd had like, so the Tessa Bailey and like the publisher had posted on her Instagram like applications to like be part of this. So I applied and I got the book. I wasn't sure if I would because sometimes like I've emailed some publishers before and sometimes they're like, oh, we're not sending anything to Canada, that kind of thing. So I think that like obviously really big like book accounts and whatever from Canada will still get physical editions and everything. But I think it's like less than people in the States just because that's where kind of like the huge publishers are based and like they're sending more out to, you know, people in the States and everything. So I'm just so excited to have gotten a real copy, and the fact that it's Tessa Bailey is really cool. She is definitely my favorite romance author. It Happened One Summer remains my favorite contemporary romance novel. This one is really cool because it's like a time travel romance. She's been kind of teasing it, or she's been talking about it on TikTok and Instagram and everything for quite a while, that she was just kind of writing it almost for fun originally. Like she had the idea, but she's obviously like a contemporary romance author. I don't believe she's ever published anything in another genre really, or any kind of like crossover romance genre as far as I know. I'd have to go through. She's got like a pretty deep back catalog, but I've read a lot of those books too, and I don't believe that any of them are not just contemporary romance. So this is very cool. We get kind of like dystopian sci-fi. I don't fully know what it's gonna be yet, but yeah, she's been kind of just talking about it here and there on her social media accounts for so long. So it's very cool that it's coming to fruition. And I'm so excited to read this. This is definitely what I'm going to read as soon as I finish my George Eliot essay. I'm picking this up. It came in like the cool Memory is a Weapon, and the other side does say Project of the Collective, but I have a UPS thing covering that. And yeah, so they did the cover reveal last week. I did post it to my story, but I wasn't able to post like my own thing for it because Canada and UPS shipping, mine came a week late. But I'm so excited to have it in my hands now. And yeah, I'm just really excited about this. So, you know, thank you to Tessa Bailey and the publisher because I am so excited. So the back says two rivals, one girl out of time, the fate of the world and her heart hangs in the balance. So my understanding is this is like a little bit of a love triangle situation that we have going on, which also haven't read from Tessa Bailey in, I don't know if I've ever read like a true love triangle from her. Sometimes there's like, you know, other things going on, but I've never read like full on love triangles. So I'm very excited. I love Tessa Bailey because I feel like you can just tell how much she loves writing and loves the genre when you read her books. Her sense of humor, I think, really aligns with mine. So I think that her books are like really funny, and I just love the tone of them. Like, I think that I respond to Tessa Bailey the way that a lot of people respond to Emily Henry, which I love Emily Henry too. I've only read Book Lovers, but yeah, I love Tessa Bailey. I think her books are so funny, so fun, and they always have like also a lot of like hearts. I think the first thing that you think of with Tessa Bailey is like the humor and, you know, all that kind of stuff with her, but also like It Happened One Summer, Hook, Line, and Sinker, all of those books, all of like Dream Girl Drama, all of them, they're also like very emotional. I don't know, I just love her. So I'm super pumped to read this. But for now, I need to calm down and I need to head to the library to get some work done. My plan is to spend the morning grading and then the afternoon working on George Eliot. So that's what I'm gonna be doing. I'm gonna spend the morning at the library. I'm gonna see how long I can be there until I get sick of it. And then I'm going to switch locations. So we'll see. Hello again. So I was at the library, I did some grading. I also like wrote up a quick post and review for The Woman from Nowhere. So that's up on like my Instagram and everything now. Cause I can't remember if I really talked about it in a vlog. I'm pretty sure I did, but it's one of Kristen Ashley's new releases. It's for The Woman from Nowhere. So I did get that one as a digital arc as well. And I really enjoyed it. I do love this series from Chris and Ashley. It's like romantic suspense. I definitely think I did talk about it because I remember going on at length about like romantic suspense, mystery, romance, and like how the books kind of like balance it differently for some of the ones in the series. So you can maybe like go back and watch that if you're curious, but I did really enjoy it. And I like the like cult aspect. Almost wish we got more of the cult, but I did really enjoy like the romance in that book. I think she does a good job of like, because this is a couple that doesn't have a ton of back and forth. They're together, but both of them are like, I'm a lone wolf. I don't need anybody. But then they obviously like each other. So once they're kind of thrown together, they're like, well, let's just, you know, be kind of casual. And then when one of us like finds someone or wants to end it, or if we start like, you know, catching feelings, we'll end it. But then they both like immediately are acting like an old married couple. So instead of that like kind of false casualness feeling annoying, it's just kind of funny, and there's not really a lot of back and forth with them. There's no like third act breakup, which I really like. And I think Chris and Ashley does a good job of having a like pretty stable relationship, but the book still doesn't feel boring. Like you're still invested in how the romance is progressing, and also how like everything around the romance, how the other like plots in the books are functioning. So I think that this was a fun installment in the Misted Pine series. So that one released last week, so I just posted my review for it because I didn't really get a chance to like write stuff up last time in time for it. So that's up now, but yeah, I did quite enjoy it. And then I was just I went back to marking, but I started feeling like a little bit restless at the library, so I decided to come home, and I'm gonna have some lunch and then probably go for a bit of a walk before I come back and keep working today. I also wanted to say, because I've been watching some new stuff lately, so obviously I was watching Temptation Island, which I hate, and I don't think I'm gonna finish it. I've never watched the series in its entirety, but it's just not fun. I think because like the couples don't even like spend any time together, so you're not really invested in them like dating these other people in the like manners, because they're obviously not like really dating them, and they don't even really like follow those relationships that closely. They're just like, oh look, they're cheating on each other. So, and you don't really feel like the singles that they bring in really care, like are invested in the people, because like obviously they're not. Also, I went on the Reddit thread and people love the host, like they're really glazing him, and I'm like, I hate that man. Because compared to like Love is Blind and stuff like that are fun, because you know, like they're getting drunk and they're fighting and they're all crazy. In this one, yeah, they're all crazy. They're getting drunk and they're being stupid. But like, it's just really, they're just really being blatantly manipulated. Like, yes, the clips that they show, but also this man is using like therapy speak to just like convince them all to cheat. Like he's not trying to, they're like, oh, and he's so like helping them. He's confronting the men. He's like teaching them how to like think about themselves and how they like view masculinity. No, he's like, oh, I think you should like learn more about yourself, and the way to do it is to hook up with this 20-year-old bottle service girl. I think that'll really like help you existentially. So not a fan of that show. And then I also watched Your Monster recently, which people are gonna look at this and be like, that's weird. It's so funny. It's like the best contemporary rom-com that I've seen in a very long time. Like it's not even like, I mean, it's kind of weird because he's in, I was gonna say it's not weird humor, but like some of the humor comes from just like how it's weird. But like he's just like a guy, but he just happens to be in monster makeup. It's really funny. And he's actually one of the guys that's on the Mindy Project. He's like the blonde kind of like business guy that she dates, who was really funny on the Mindy Project, and he's very charming in the show or in the movie. It's so good, and it's like I see people I feel like I've seen it compared the most to like Lisa Frankenstein and Warm Bodies, and I remember like nothing about Warm Bodies other than the premise of like he's a zombie, but otherwise it's like sort of a normal movie or sort of a normal like post-apocalypse movie. So I feel like it is like kind of similar to that. And I do get the Lisa Frankenstein comparisons, but I think Lisa Frankenstein does also have like a more kind of like overtly weird vibe. Like there's just something about it that is more like, this is a weird movie and these are weird people. Whereas like the people in your monster aren't necessarily weird. It's just like the situation. So I loved that, and I really, really recommend it. Even if you think like, oh, I'm not into this kind of movie, I think that you would just enjoy it if you like rom-coms or comedies. And then what else have I been watching? Oh yeah, and Euphoria, which I feel like I didn't notice it so much in the first episode, but in this most recent one, like the second episode of the new season, I really noticed that the music's different. Like in the scene where the one girl was dancing for the guy, I was like, why are they dancing to a different, why is the song clearly not the song that they're dancing to? Like it was that was an odd scene musically. That was weird. I so desperately wanted to be there while they were negotiating those contracts because clearly none of them wanted to be there. I think Zendaya is clearly the one, she's still the best actor on the show. She's definitely still clearing everyone. And is the one that seems the most like, okay, obviously she didn't want to be there, but like she's still, you know, giving it. Whereas like Jacob Elordi didn't want to be there and doesn't care if everybody knows it. I also don't remember Sydney Sweeney being this bad in the other seasons. Like, it's very odd. And they've decided, like the show has decided that they also hate Cassie. A lot of people also talk about like, oh, Zendaya's like ironclad contract, that's why she's not getting all this embarrassing stuff. First of all, she is having some like bad things happen to her. Maude Apatow is the one with the most ironclad contract. I feel like, you know, everybody didn't want to come back, and Sam Levinson was like, once he got him locked down, he was like, well, you're all gonna learn today, except I'm scared of Maude Apatow's parents, so Lexi is safe. I don't know, I feel like Euphoria has always been a soap opera. Like I think that there was moments of like good writing and good storytelling, but it's never been like consistently incredible or anything. So I don't think it's as dramatic a kind of like downfall as it's kind of coming off. But I do think that it's like noticeably different, and is definitely kind of like a noticeable quality shift or just like craziness jump in the storytelling. They've jumped the shark a little bit for sure, but I don't know. I'll probably finish the series just because I want to see how it ends and FOMO. And I do also think that it's funny watching Jacob Elordi not care at all. So I've been working for a few hours now this afternoon. So basically, yeah, I've been looking at George Eliot, and when I'm writing, I thought I'd just share this. When I'm writing, I usually have like 3 to 4 documents is how I organize myself. Like I have my kind of research document, which I use like throughout the process. So sometimes I keep my primary sources on a separate work page, but basically I'm like pulling quotes, jotting down like ideas. Usually I leave them as like actual comments on the Word document where I'm like, this connects to this other idea. Here are ideas like of how this relates to my thesis or the argument that I want to make about the book, or like here's where to pull in this other secondary source. And then I do the same with my like secondary sources and the research that I'm collecting. So sometimes I keep those on the same document, sometimes they're on separate ones. It just kind of like depends on at what point I like start making those kinds of like digital notes about the books or the primary sources that I'm dealing with. And then I have my outline document. When I was in undergrad and I was writing like shorter essays, I would outline like paragraph by paragraph. And I still like kind of do that sometimes, but now I kind of think more in like sections. So even if my paper isn't necessarily going to have like headings and subheadings, I'm like, okay, here's the bit where I'm going to be like kind of talking about this idea. And then I know that it's likely going to be around like 3 to 4 paragraphs or something like that. So I might not like structure it in my outline paragraph by paragraph, although sometimes I do. It just kind of depends on the vibe. but I just like have, okay, here's the kind of like overall idea, and then I make my notes and like reference what sources I want to use where and what quotes I want to discuss where in that outline. And then I have my actual like draft writing outline. So I always just keep the same document. Like when I write a draft and then when I edit it, I don't like copy and paste it into a new doc. I just kind of edit on the one the entire time. Often I leave comments to myself as I'm writing, like come back and change this at some point. I also kind of like to edit as I write, like when I know like, okay, I need to like fix this, I'll write a little bit more and then I might come back to it later or something like that. Yeah, because I've just never found it, like, I never got into the habit of making multiple versions of my actual draft. And I don't know, I just like, yeah, that was never really something that I got into. It might be helpful to look back on in the future, but like, I don't know, I just like having one working document. I find it easier to keep track of in my head. So that's what I've been working on with Elliot this afternoon. But that's really all she wrote for today. So I think I'm going to end the vlog there. Say goodbye. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one where I will be done for the term.